It Raw. Yes, it's a very exclusive, in the right way. Not as inexpensive, but exclusive in the sense that it's pulled together by so many different parts and in such a thought through and particular way that it's a very unique experience for everyone involved, not just the chefs, also for the other people around. Especially for me as a food journalist, it's incredible. So having gathered so many chefs from all over the world to do things at the same time, which is unheard of, I think, unheard of, in a very casual way. That's what I like about Cook It Raw so much, that it's non-formal. There are no brigadiers of chefs in kitchens who all try to go for the super perfection in every single level. It's much more spontaneous, much more action. And I shouldn't use the word raw too many times in this, because then you'll get bored of this word. To start off with talking about René for a second, what's really unique about him is, of course, that the food is fantastic, the dishes are great, and the atmosphere in the place is exceptional. But René as a person is a very warm and generous person when it comes to ideas and influences and so on. And he is the first one to define Nordic and Scandinavian cuisine from the produce and the thoughts around here, because Scandinavia, and especially Sweden and Finland and Norway, hasn't really had a food culture before. No one has really pronounced a food culture here before. Food has been seen as nutrition, something we eat not to starve, basically. And food has been seen as pleasure, but then it's always been French food or Italian food, because we've always regarded that as the best. And he's the first one to actually bring food and culture together in our region, and that's really unique. The other unique thing about René is that he's actually not born and bred blonde Scandinavian typical stereotypical guy. His dad is a Muslim, and he comes from Macedonia, essentially. And this to me is very interesting, because suddenly we have someone who comes from a slightly different culture and who sees things that other chefs have just been driven past in their cars. They don't take any notice. So I think also it's almost been a prerequisite for someone to create Nordic cuisine, to be not from Scandinavia, to see things with someone else's eyes in a way, from a different culture. And I think that's been very, very important, because obviously no one has been able to do that to that extent before. He worked with the first Cook It Raw, and he hosted it in a fantastic way, showing everyone things they've never seen before locally. And it was very lively, very upbeat, spirited event, and all the surrounding activities that we came along to do. The Friuli part was made in the winter, which was very hard, and there was a lot of tension. It was a slightly more introverted and darker, in many ways, happening. And people were very focused, but also quite tense in many, many ways. The memory of it is a defining moment of that winter to me in many ways. It really showed what you can do under stress and tension, and also under very harsh conditions. Now, this is the exciting part, and that's the third Cook It Raw, the development. Because now all the rules are put aside and they're supposed to collaborate, which I find so unique about this. The terroir here is not very unique for me. I've known this since I was a child, so from a Brazilian perspective or a Spanish perspective, I'm sure this is super exotic. To me, this is not super exotic. I know this, and it's going to be very exciting to see what they do with the food. But what I'm really excited about is how will they work together? Is it possible for them to work together? For fully professional chefs, perhaps at their peak level, can they really work together? That's what I find fascinating. And also from a futuristic perspective, would it be possible that, say, two of the world's best chefs who don't really share much more than friendship could perhaps start a project together? not necessarily a restaurant, but could they do something together where the creative process is equal? That's what I want to find out. That's what I want to see, if gastronomy can take a completely new turn instead of being, I'm sorry to say, egotistical in a good way, but perhaps sharing in a different way, which might make it even more dynamic. We'll see. Not tomorrow. None of them will start a restaurant together tomorrow just because they like getting along with each other. But in 5 years, who knows? Perhaps there's going to be collaborations, and this is the start of it. I've never seen anything like it. I've never heard of anything like it. It certainly has sparked off something in them, that perhaps it's not just helping each other, it's actually working together.